This is Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive with me, Tim Elliott. Good morning to you. Don't forget you can contact the show, info@mira.fm, or get in touch with us, by WhatsApp, which is very simple, whatsapp.mira.fm. No need to remember numbers. And if you're watching online, wherever you're watching from, a like or a subscribe or a thumbs up is always something we like to see and appreciate. We're talking leadership now on the program, very specifically female leadership, and SHINE, S-H-I-N-E, is an internationally recognized female leadership and empowerment program created by RoundTable Global. They are a leadership development organization focusing on creating responsible and symbiotic leadership, empowerment, and culture change. Tiffany Kelly is the founding partner at RoundTable Global, and she is with us. Tiffany, good of you to join us.
Thank you so much, Tim. I'm really delighted to be here. It's lovely to meet you. Thank you for your time. And we're
Go on.
Is it still working?
Yep.
Okay. And we're so excited to be bringing this program, SHINE program, to the GCC officially. We have run some programs here before, and it's a global program that we've been running for 10 years, extremely successfully for organizations like Renault and Danone. Hundreds of women around the world who've been through the program. And the consistent feedback has been that it's been a tremendous success in terms of uplifting women and helping them to step into their power and into leadership roles. And we know that the UAE in particular has a big push at the moment in prioritizing women and encouraging them to step up into leadership, to run organizations, to run governments. And so the SHINE program for us is really an opportunity to give them a chance to explore themselves, explore any beliefs they have that aren't serving them anymore, to really step into radical self-honesty and to bring that all into the leadership that they're bringing into the organization. And we explore within the program as well our philosophy of leading from the center, and that goes back to everything starts with you. So if we can help them to feel like the best or favorite version of themselves, they're much more likely to bring that energy and that direction and leadership into the organization.
Okay, so SHINE's been around for a while, as you say. I'm interested in the kinds of people that the course is for, who it's aimed at, and also I was reading some of the notes before we got to speak to you. This is a program created to go beyond traditional leadership programs to accelerate female leadership. I'm also interested, how do you do that, going beyond the traditional? What is it that you do?
So traditional leadership, and I come from that background. So before we started RoundTable Global, I was working for other training companies. Traditional leadership can be very focused on giving people skills and a toolkit, which obviously is really important. But from our perspective, it's all about going into the person and really focusing on who they are as a person, because there is no separation really between you as a human being at work and when you're at home. It's all about what you'll bring in everywhere that you go. So we do deep work with the people that come on the SHINE program in terms of how they really feel about themselves, any beliefs that they have, any fears that they have. We talk a lot about blame, and most people are addicted to blame. They're in the blame or victim cycle. And so some people even talk about it as a kind of a light therapy. We're going deep in terms of how you really, really radically feel about yourself and being really honest about what you want for yourself and your future. And then that then allows you to step into leadership. So obviously the toolkits and the objectives and the things that you learn when you're on the program are super useful when you go back into work, but they're also really useful in your day-to-day life. So for example, we talk about relationships and labels. If you have a very specific perception of somebody who has the label of being, I don't know, an older man, or being your boss, or being whatever it might be, and you have perceptions about what that label means and what it means to you, then it's going to have an impact on how you're reacting with that person. And that will also have an impact on other people who are older, wiser people who might be men outside of the organization as well. So it's a very holistic approach, but the idea is that we are accelerating transformational evolution in people so that they become leaders in all areas of their life. And obviously that then massively enhances what they're doing in the workplace.
So what kind of people sign up for courses like this? Who is this aimed at, Tiffany?
So it's a program that can be delivered for all women at all levels. It's tended to be much more of an executive and director level program at the moment. I think that's because it's very intensive. It's we can run it virtually or face to face. The virtual is 4 days intensive, and then the face to face is 3 days, and that's followed up by 8 weeks of one-to-one and peer coaching, and then a 1 day virtual follow up. So it's a commitment. It's a very intensive journey. But the reason why we do that is because during the intensive either 3 day version, we very much crack people open in terms of there's a lot of emotion that comes up, there's a lot of realization, honesty, that we're bringing ourselves everywhere we go. So the things that are happening aren't happening to us, they're happening for us. And so there's a lot of changing old paradigms of thinking and old philosophies that we have that are ingrained to be much more honest and open about what we're co-creating and what we're bringing into the world. And that can create a sense of instability. And it's interesting because on day 2 or 3, usually, a lot of the ladies that come on the program say, I'm scared about it ending because I'm not sure if I can take everything I've learned into my life and I don't want it to end. And that's why we do the ongoing journey. So they're very much held, they're very much looked after by our coaches and our mentors. And then even after we do the follow-up day, we have an alumni who are still in touch with us, still doing coaching with us, in touch with each other. And it feels very much like it's creating a swell of very different female leaders that are going out into the workplace.
Can you? There's loads going through my mind at the moment. The first thing is kind of fear, because this is a course that needs and requires you to be really, really honest, I think. And I'll come back to that in a moment, actually. The UAE, you kind of pointed to this as well, consistently kind of positions itself as a regional leader, advancing gender equity when it comes to promoting women in leadership. So I guess this is a program, and this is it's going to fit really well with the national agenda here in the nation as well.
Absolutely. And I suppose in a way it's similar to when I was working in Japan with the First Lady when Abe was in power. And there was a remit to increase the number of female leaders. I think it was 30% by 2020 because the Olympics were going there. And I was very concerned about that as a mandate because it becomes a quota, right? And women get put into a leadership role, not necessarily because they're the right person, but because there's a quota to be fulfilled. Now, that's still great because it means that more women are being selected and having an opportunity. But I feel like it's really important to focus more on how we empower these women to step into leadership willingly and bringing everything that they've got. So bringing a balance of feminine and masculine, not feeling like to step up into a leadership role, they have to be more masculine, but they can bring their, the feminine leadership. So the feminine leadership is all about others. So it's about collaboration, communication, encouraging other people to be empowered. It's about everything that's outside of yourself, and masculine leadership is everything that's within. So it's what I need for me and what I need to be successful, to survive. And I think that for me, with the national agenda in the UAE, it's really, really important that we don't just use quota and put women in leadership roles, that we first of all ensure that they feel empowered and they have the mindset and the toolkit to step into those roles, but then in addition working with the cultures in the organization so that they're ready for that new blended leadership to come into place, because otherwise it's quite difficult for women who are stepping up for the first time, especially if it's a very male orientated leadership team, to find their place in it and to maintain their balance of masculine and feminine. So we did that really successfully in Japan and across Asia, and what we would love to do is bring that into GCC and really focus and target with UAE first because it fits so well with the national agenda.
It's equity is the giveaway word there, isn't it? Can I just ask you about empowerment generally? You speak at and you lead women's empowerment workshops. You do leadership summits. You do innovation think tanks, and that's very much about social change. We'd both like, I'm sure, to be able to say times have changed. Things are perfectly even in terms of the number and quality of female leaders in the workplace. But let's be honest, we're not there yet. There's still far too many men, I would contend, telling women what to do, or trying to at least. What do you see time and time again, honestly, and say, oh no, not this again? What gets you about where we are now?
I think it's the concept that we even need an empowerment program for women,
Right.
and that organizations have a very specific focus on, okay, well, we need to empower women, and every single woman that comes on our program says, why am I in an empowerment program for women? Why isn't there one for men? Well, actually, just to let you know, we have launched one that's called Ignite, that's very similar to Shine, but it is specifically for men to go on, so that we can help them go into their balance of masculine and feminine, which is really important in terms of the cultural evolution of organizations. But I think, it is really important. And we do reassure the women that are on the program that actually, from our perspective, it's just about leadership and balance. But to be honest with you, there is something really magical that happens when you have just women on a program together. The openness, the honesty, the ability to show vulnerability, and to to read, share things that have happened in their lives that help other people to understand it isn't just me, and there are other people in this world who are going through exactly the same as me, even though they look like, they're really confident and they're really amazing what they do. So I think it's this, we have to burst this bubble of the stigma of empowering female leaders, and just go back to the roots of it, of what it is, in terms of, okay, well, women need it and men need it, but at the moment, because there's quotas and because there's less women in leadership, there's more of a focus on that. But we are talking to the organizations and clients that we work with about running this Ignite program for men, because also a lot of the men approach us and say, well, why don't we have a program like this? Because they hear such good feedback about how radically different the women feel. So I think for me, it's that we still need that we're still talking about it, that we're still talking about equity. And then the concern I have is about quotas and about people being put into a position purely because it's a statistics thing. And that isn't just for gender, that's ethnicity, disability, etc. So I think for me, it's about creating organizations where the leaders lead from the center, in the sense that they have their balance of masculine and feminine, and they're looking at everybody, not in the boxes of where they fit in terms of quotas, but in terms of who they are as, unique individuals that have abilities, and where they fit within the organization. And for me, when that happens, and we don't specifically need an empowerment program for women, that's when I'll know and feel that we're getting much more into balance.
We're a little bit short on time, unfortunately, but I've got a couple more questions for you. And you're so right. We shouldn't really be having conversations like this. It shouldn't really be necessary, at least along, gender lines and ethnicity and, ability lines. It really should be just encouraging empowerment for all of us, encouraging leadership, kind of full stop. So how do you coach not just leadership, but leadership from the center, as you say? How do you teach that? How do you encourage? How do you encourage and educate people to take a lead, to become a leader, male or female? I guess this question is as well.
Yeah, and this goes down to symbiotic leadership, which is something else that we bring into the work that we do, which is all about looking at nature and how nature can inspire us from a leadership perspective. So a lot of traditional leadership is about leading from the front. So, I'm the leader, I'm going first, follow me,
Yeah.
or leading from the back, which is I'm going to empower you and push you forward. So for us, it's a bit more like the Fibonacci, if you can imagine a spiral that comes out, and there's information that's coming in the spiral in terms of feedback to you, and information that's going out in terms of how you're leading other people. And so for us, leading from the center is the understanding that you take you everywhere you go. So everything that happens, you have an influence on. And that isn't about blaming yourself, it's about learning what your influence is and what you're co-creating, so that you have that information and then you can change. Because if you change, then your ecosystem changes. And also it's about that connectivity, understanding that we're all interconnected, and it's exactly the same in an organization. In fact, we call it an organism, in the sense that you as the leader in the center, if you think about concentric rings that come out from that and affect everybody else, your decisions, your mindset, your beliefs, your fears affect the organization the same as everybody else does. But if you can recognize, if you hold the mirror up to yourself and you understand what yours are, then you, as a leader, you can help other people in the organization to do that. And that will influence how successful you are, performance, how people feel, motivation, engagement, and all those kinds of things as well.
Tiffany, I'd love to spend more time talking to you, and you have an open invitation to come back and join us.
Thank
We're
you.
over time today, unfortunately. Shine is an internationally recognized female leadership and empowerment program. It's created by RoundTable Global, and Tiffany Kelly is the founder at RoundTable Global. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM.